Hey there, welcome to the Cheater's Diary, where we dive into real-life stories packed with raw emotions and jaw-dropping twists. If you're vibing with this video, hit that like button and subscribe to join us in spreading stories that hit home. All right, let's kick off today's journey. The morning sun was lazy, stretching over the quiet suburban street. The old lawnmower my dad swore by growled under my hands like a grumpy dog. I'm not the guy who's out here helping neighbors left and right. Usually, I'm just doing my thing, blasting music, scrolling on my phone, or kicking a soccer ball with my buddy Mike. But that day, something felt different. Maybe it was the crisp July air, thick with the smell of fresh-cut grass. Or maybe it was the fight I had with Mom about my messy room. Whatever it was, there I was, by the fence, mowing the lawn and sweating buckets. "Ethan!" a voice called out from the other side of the fence. I looked up, killed the mower. It was Ms. Harper. Around here, folks call her Susan from the Maple House. 52, classy vibe, but her eyes always carried this quiet tiredness. Mom once said she taught literature at the local community college, but after her husband passed, she kind of faded from the neighborhood scene. I never talked to her much, just a quick hey when passing by. But today, she was standing there, holding a glass of lemonade, a small smile on her face. "My mower's acting up again," she said, her voice warm like she was telling a story. "Would you mind taking a look? If you're not too busy, of course." I wiped the sweat off my forehead, trying not to look shocked. Ms. Harper wasn't the type to ask for favors. Neighbors usually gave her space, like she was a beautiful painting you didn't want to smudge. "Yeah, sure, I'll swing by after I'm done here," I said, my voice a little rushed. I don't know why I agreed so fast. Maybe it was her smile, real and a bit shy. Or maybe it was Mom saying once, "Susan lives alone. Her son took off years ago." Sometimes a little help can make someone's whole day. I finished our yard in 15 minutes flat, record time. Then I pushed the mower over to Ms. Harper's place. Her yard looked like it belonged in a magazine. Lush green grass, hydrangeas blooming by the porch. But in the middle, her mower sat dead, like a rusted relic. I knelt down, checked the air filter, gas tank, pull cord. Nothing obvious, but it wouldn't start. Ms. Harper watched from the porch. "Think it's toast, Ethan?" she asked, her tone playful. "Nah, probably just old, like everything around here." I shot back, then instantly cringed. What if she thought I meant her? But she just laughed, a clear, easy laugh. "You're not wrong," she said, her eyes sparkling. "Everything's got some years on it, me included." I blushed, scrambling for a response. She waved me off. "Come inside, Ethan. Tools are in there. Plus, I could use some company." I hesitated for a second. Go inside Ms. Harper's house? Neighbors didn't do that, but I nodded and followed her. The house was spotless, but had this stillness, like it didn't get many visitors. On the fireplace mantel were a few photos, her and a man laughing, probably her husband. Books were stacked neatly on the coffee table. A cozy armchair had a knitted blanket draped over it. The air smelled faintly of peppermint. I stood in the living room, feeling like a kid who wandered into a grown-up's world. Ms. Harper appeared in the doorway, and I nearly jumped out of my skin. She wasn't wearing the button-up from earlier. She had on Mickey Mouse pajamas. She gasped, yanking a robe over herself. "Oh my gosh, I forgot you were in here," she blurted, her face turning red. I stammered, "It's cool. Nice pajamas." She burst out laughing, a real, unguarded laugh. "Thanks, but I wasn't planning a fashion show." The awkwardness melted away. She motioned me to the kitchen. "Tea?" she asked. I nodded, sitting at the table. On it were 2 magazines, one about gardening, another full of crosswords. She put the kettle on, and the smell of lemon and mint filled the air. "This tea's from New Mexico," she said, pouring it into 2 ceramic mugs. "A friend swore it cures loneliness. I'm skeptical, but why not try?" I took a sip. Bitter, but interesting. We sat there, quiet for a bit. Not the awkward kind of silence, but the comfortable kind, like neither of us needed to fill it. "I don't usually invite people in," she said suddenly, staring at her mug. "Especially not young guys like you. But you're different. You're real. No pretense." I grinned, unsure what to say. "I'm just mowing lawns, nothing special." She looked at me, her eyes deep. "You don't get it, Ethan. Sometimes plain kindness." She started talking about her son, who left 5 years ago. No explanation, just postcards with no return address from places like the desert, Alaska, nowhere towns. I keep waiting, she said, her voice softer. But I don't know what for anymore. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to comfort her, but worried I'd sound cheesy. You're not alone, I blurted. You're just real. She looked at me, then smiled, like I'd said something big. You should be a writer, not a lawn guy, she teased. We both laughed, and it lit up the kitchen. She showed me where the tools were, wrenches, screwdrivers, a can of WD-40. I grabbed them and headed back to the yard, wrestling with that stubborn mower. The sun climbed higher, the air getting sticky. But I didn't want to go home. Something about Ms. Harper, her honesty, her stories, maybe just the tea, made me want to stay. Noon hit, and the July air was thick with the smell of cut grass and hot asphalt. I was crouched by Ms. Harper's mower, hands greasy, hair plastered with sweat. That old Toro was mocking me. I'd checked everything. Spark plug, gas, pull cord, zilch. Ms. Harper stood on the porch, lemonade in hand, smiling softly. Ready to throw in the towel, Ethan, she called, teasing. Not yet, I said, faking confidence. This thing's just testing me. She laughed, and for a second I forgot the heat. I stood, wiping my hands on my jeans. Got any other tools? I need a smaller screwdriver. She nodded. Inside, I'll grab it. I followed without thinking, but stepping into her house with that peppermint glow, my heart sped up again. It felt like crossing into another world. She led me to the kitchen, rummaging through a drawer. I'm no good at fixing stuff, she said, handing me the screwdriver. You're making me feel useless. I grinned. If you're useless, I'm a train wreck. She looked at me, eyes twinkling. You're a charmer, Ethan. Watch out, I might believe you. I blushed, turning away. The air felt heavier, like something I couldn't name. We went back outside. I kept at the mower. An hour passed, then two. The sun dipped, casting long shadows from the maple tree. I was about to give up when I heard Mom's voice from the sidewalk. Ethan! She stood there, holding a tray of cookies, looking at me like I'd skipped curfew. What are you doing at Miss Harper's all day? I flopped onto the grass, wiping my hands. Her mower's busted. I'm trying to fix it. Mom raised an eyebrow. And our yard? You planning to let it turn into a jungle? I sighed. I'll get to it, Mom. Ms. Harper needed help. That's all. Mom glanced over the fence where Ms. Harper appeared on the porch. Evening, Mrs. Carter, Ms. Harper called, her voice warm. Come in for some tea. I've got lemon bars. Ethan's a fan. I shot Mom a look. She hesitated, but I knew she couldn't resist dessert. She smoothed her hair, brushed her apron, spotless of course, and followed me inside. The house still felt cozy, but something shifted. Ms. Harper had set the table, herbal tea, lemon bars, and a tiny jar she called a splash of color. Mom and Ms. Harper hit it off, chatting about old neighbors, botched block parties, giggling like old friends. I sat there sipping tea, feeling like a third wheel. Then Mom gave me that sly smile. You're mowing our yard first thing tomorrow, right? I nodded. Yes, ma'am, first thing. Ms. Harper winked. Then swing by, Ethan. I've got more chores. Mom nodded, satisfied. I smiled, but something uneasy stirred inside. Ms. Harper's gaze lingered on me a bit too long, and I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning. Ms. Harper kept creeping into my thoughts. Her smile, her eyes, the way she brushed my arm when handing me tea. I told myself I was overthinking. She's 52. I'm just the kid mowing her lawn. But then an old memory hit. Those nights when Mom and Dad fought, Mom's voice breaking, Dad stone silent. I was little then, didn't get it. Now I wondered, did Ms. Harper have anything to do with it? The next morning, I was up early, mowing our yard in 35 minutes flat. Personal best. Mom gave me a nod of approval as I stashed the mower in the garage. But I didn't stop there. I grabbed the old push mower, the one that screeched like a dying cat, and headed to Ms. Harper's. She was on the porch, in a pink robe with kitten patterns beaming. Up and at it already, Ethan. Tea later, I nodded. Give me half an hour. I mowed fast, sweat dripping. Done, I knocked on her door. Come in, she called. I pushed the door open and froze. She was at the stairs, pulling a sweater over her head. I caught a glimpse of something I shouldn't have. Oh my gosh, again? She laughed, yanking the sweater down. You've got a knack for bad timing. I covered my face, mumbling, Sorry, my timing's the worst. She laughed harder, and I couldn't help but join in. The tension dissolved, but my mugs of tea steaming. Sunlight streamed through the curtains, dust motes dancing. Ms. Harper wore a sweater and jeans, hair a little messy, but she looked natural. "Thanks for helping," she said, her voice soft. "Not many people do that." I shrugged. "I like helping you. You're cool." She raised an eyebrow. "Cool? You mean weird and talkative?" I grinned. "Nah, mysterious and funny." She looked out of the window, her gaze distant. "I wasn't always like this," she whispered. "At 22, I hit rock bottom, crashed on a friend's couch, worked 3 jobs, barely ate. Nobody offered me tea or mowed my lawn." I went quiet, trying to picture her like that. "How'd you get through it?" I asked. She gave a sad smile. "I didn't have a choice. Sometimes you just keep moving." We sat there, tea cooling. Then she stood. "Enough heavy stuff. Grass isn't done." I laughed, heading back outside. But that night, back home, Mom was in the kitchen, coffee in hand, giving me a weird look. "Ethan," she said, her voice low, "I saw Ms. Harper kiss your cheek today. What's going on?" I froze. "Just a thank you, Mom. It's nothing." But her eyes said she didn't buy it. And I started wondering, was I stepping into something risky? The sun dipped low, painting the old wooden fence golden orange. I stood in Ms. Harper's yard, gripping the mower handle, my chest tight. It'd been a week since Mom saw that cheek kiss, a week of avoiding Ms. Harper's house, her tea, her smile that used to make me stumble. But today, Mom knocked on my door, her tone firm. "Ethan, Ms. Harper needs help cleaning her garage. I told her you'd go. Don't keep her waiting." I wanted to argue, say I was busy, hide, but Mom's look shut me down. "She fought cancer alone, Ethan," she said. "Be kind." I sighed, threw on a tea, grabbed my toolbox, and trudged over. Each step felt heavier. Dad had told me about his past with Ms. Harper, a mistake he called it, a moment that nearly wrecked our family. His words echoed like a warning bell. I knocked. Ms. Harper opened the door, her smile warm, but her eyes held something new. Worry, maybe. "Ethan, I'm so glad you came," she said softly. I just nodded, keeping quiet. We headed to the garage, a mess of cardboard boxes, rusty tools, dusty blankets, and faded photo albums. I started sorting. She wiped down surfaces. We worked in silence. No tea, no small talk, just the rustle of boxes and the creak of shelves. An hour. She broke the quiet. "You're off today," she said, pausing with a box of light bulbs. "Something wrong, Ethan?" I took a deep breath, staring at the floor. "Just tired," I mumbled, but my voice was colder than I meant. She looked at me, her gaze piercing. My chest felt like it was caving in, the truth clawing its way out. We sat on the porch, each with a mug of tea. The sun was gone, just the porch light flickering. The tea went cold fast, but I hadn't touched it. "Ethan," she said, "if you've got something to say, say it." I gripped my mug, fingers trembling. The silence stretched, tight as a guitar string about to snap. "I know," I blurted, my voice rough. "About you and my dad." Ms. Harper froze, her mug tilting slightly. "What did he tell you?" she asked, her voice steady, but her eyes flashing with panic. I met her gaze. "That you two got close, that you almost ruined my family. I need the truth. Who are you? What am I to you?" She set her mug down, hands shaking. She stared into the dark like the words were out there somewhere. "Ethan," she started, her voice low. "After my divorce, I was a wreck. No kid, no husband, just this house and loneliness. Your dad, he was kind. Fixed my lights, cleared my yard, little things. We became friends. Then one night, we had wine, laughed, and he leaned in. I didn't stop him, but your mom saw. Through the window. She stormed in, screaming, called me a homewrecker. Nothing happened, Ethan. Not really. But your dad and I, we were wrong. It was a mistake." I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "Why didn't you tell me from the start?" She looked at me, eyes glistening. "Because I didn't know what you were to me. At first, just the kid mowing my lawn. Then a friend, someone who listened. Then I got scared of losing you, like I lost everything else." I shook my head. "Is this real? Or am I just another game to you?" She grabbed my hand, gentle but firm. "No, Ethan, you're not a game. I'm flawed, yes. But I'm not cruel. I'm just human. And humans mess up." I pulled my hand back, standing. My head was spinning. "I don't know what to do with this," I said, my voice breaking. She stood, but didn't step closer. "You don't have to know now," she said. "Just be honest with yourself. Don't bottle it up because it won't fade until I gotta go, I said, not looking back. I understand, she replied, her voice faint. I saw her eyes shimmer, but she didn't cry. I walked away, my feet heavy. At home, Mom was in the kitchen watching me. Did you talk to her? She asked. I nodded. Yeah, it's done. She didn't press, just nodded, like she'd known the truth forever, just waiting for me to find it. That night, I lay in bed, the ceiling fan whirring. Ms. Harper's face kept flashing, her honest eyes, her trembling voice. I wanted to believe her, but Dad's words lingered. She knows how to pull people in, he'd said. I shut my eyes, trying to block it all out, but the truth, like cold tea, sat there, refusing to leave. Saturday morning, sunlight slipped through my blinds, striping the floor. I sat on my bed, twirling a pencil, my head a mess. Yesterday's talk with Ms. Harper haunted me. Her words, her voice, her eyes when she spoke about the mistake with Dad. I wanted to trust her, but my heart was heavy. Dad, Ms. Harper, my family. It was like a torn picture, and I didn't know how to piece it back together. Mom knocked, her voice soft but firm. Ethan, breakfast, Dad's waiting. I sighed, threw on a shirt, and headed downstairs. Dad was at the table, coffee in hand, staring out the window. Mom set a plate of eggs and toast in front of me, then slipped out to the garden. The kitchen air was thick, like a storm was brewing. I sipped my coffee, avoiding Dad's eyes, but I knew I couldn't hide forever. Dad, I said, my voice rough. He turned, eyes widening, like he didn't expect me to speak first. I'm not mad at you anymore. He set his mug down, waiting. I took a deep breath. I know about you and Ms. Harper. I talked to her. I'm not saying you're a bad guy. You're human. People screw up, but you're still my dad. I just want things to feel normal again. He didn't answer right away. His eyes were red, like he was holding something back. Then he stood, walked around the table, and hugged me. Hard. Like when I was a kid and broke Mom's favorite vase. And he just laughed, saying, "It's okay, bud." "Thank you," he whispered. "I'm sorry. I'm proud of you." I hugged back, feeling a weight lift like I'd dropped a boulder. That afternoon, I was in the backyard kicking a soccer ball with Mike, my best friend since kindergarten. Mike cracked up when I missed a shot, the ball sailing into the bushes. "You're still trash, Ethan," he teased. I shrugged, jogging to grab it. Sitting on the grass to catch our breath, Mike asked out of nowhere, "You helped Ms. Harper, right? People say she's weird. What's the deal?" I glanced at the fence where her house peeked through the maple. "She's not weird," I said. "She's just been alone a long time. Got a past, like anyone." Mike nodded, not pushing, but I knew he was curious. I didn't spill everything, not because I was hiding, but because I was learning to keep stories that weren't mine to tell. That night, my family had dinner together. First time in forever. Mom made barbecue ribs, mashed potatoes, and salad. Dad told his corny jokes. Mom giggled, and I just sat there, watching them. Things weren't perfect. There were still cracks, unspoken questions, but we were here, together. That was enough. A few days later, I saw Ms. Harper in her front yard, watering her hydrangeas. I stood by the fence, hesitating. She looked up, saw me, and gave a small smile. "Hey, Ethan," she called, her voice gentle. I nodded. "Hey." No tea, no invite inside. Just a nod, a smile. But I felt lighter. No anger, no fear. Just respect. And maybe a hint of friendship. Back in my room, I opened a notebook, jotting down thoughts. Not a diary, just stuff in my head. About Ms. Harper, Dad, the mistakes that hurt, but help you grow. I wrote, "Not everyone's bad. Sometimes they're just lost. And sometimes forgiving isn't for them. It's for you." I closed the notebook, lay back, and watched the ceiling fan spin. For the first time in weeks, I slept deep. No dreams. Sunday morning, I was out in our yard pushing the mower. Not for Ms. Harper, but for us. But as I passed the fence, I saw her on her porch, mug in hand, watching me. She waved. I waved back. No words, just a moment. I knew we didn't need to say more. Everything had been said, and what was left was peace. I'm Mike, Ethan's best friend since we were kids, scraping knees on the school field, laughing like homework was the world's biggest problem. I know Ethan like I know myself. A straight-up guy, sometimes too trusting. But when he told me this story, his voice had these pauses. Not embarrassed pauses, but the kind after a fight, when everything's been laid bare. And all that's just about a kid and his neighbor. It's not about tea or a cheek kiss caught through a window. It's deeper. It's about secrets. Every family's got them. Some hide them better. Some let them leak like cracks in glass. The secret between Ethan's dad and Ms. Harper wasn't an affair. Not some fiery romance in the dark. It was a moment. A line they almost crossed. A look that lingered too long, a touch that shouldn't have happened. But Ethan's mom saw through the window, just in time to stop it from breaking everything. Ethan didn't forgive right away. He was pissed at his dad, the guy he thought was a rock, at Ms. Harper, who he thought was a friend, but turned out to carry baggage. He hid, stayed in his room, peeked through the blinds when he saw her watering flowers. But then he faced it, not by yelling or smashing stuff, but by listening, asking, letting the truth do its work. I remember chilling with Ethan, playing FIFA, scarfing pizza, arguing over who sucked more at the game. He told me, calm as hell, "Ms. Harper's not weird, Mike. She's just lonely. My dad's not a villain. He's just human. Humans mess up." I paused the game, looked at him. Ethan wasn't the kid who blushed at dumb jokes anymore. He'd grown, not from age, but from seeing people for who they are. Scarred, but capable of fixing things. This story got me thinking, how many families out there have secrets? How many dads carry mistakes? How many moms forgive in silence? How many kids grow up not knowing their family was on the edge, saved by a glance through a window? Ethan didn't run. He didn't burn it all down or pretend nothing happened. He walked through the fire and didn't let it harden him. The next day, I saw Ethan in his yard pushing the mower. Ms. Harper was by her flower bed, gardening gloves dirty, a small smile on her face. Ethan waved. She waved back. No words, no tea, just a moment. I knew they'd found peace. Not love or friendship like people might assume. Just understanding. A nod between two people who hurt each other, but chose to let go of the pain. This isn't just Ethan's story. It's mine, yours, anyone who's faced a secret, a mistake, and wondered how to move on. Life's not a movie. No villains, no heroes. Just people cracked and trying to piece themselves back together. Ethan learned forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It means letting yourself live. Lighter. Ms. Harper showed him loneliness doesn't weaken you. It makes you kinder. And his dad? He showed even a rock can wobble but still stand tall. What secrets are you holding? A mistake you haven't forgiven yourself for, or someone else? Think about it. Say it, even just to yourself. Because the truth, sharp as it is what heals. This is The Cheater's Diary, where we share real stories, human shadows, not to judge, but to understand. What do you think of Ethan's story? Ever faced a secret in your family? Drop a comment, share your story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's next. The Cheater's Diary isn't just about stories. We're here to help you find truth and maybe a little peace.